Hi everybody, welcome back. In the last video we discussed how nutrition occurs in plants, wherein we talked about the process of photosynthesis. In this video we are going to talk about the nutrition in animals. Now first we go into the intricacies of how nutrition occurs. I want you guys to be familiar with the term digestion. Digestion means the process of breakdown of complex food substances into simpler substances that can be utilized by the body. See, every heterotrophic organism takes in complex food substances, because if you recall, plants are going to make their own food with the help of photosynthesis, and then they are going to store it in the form of starch. However, starch is a polymer of glucose. Starch is a complex carbohydrate and that cannot be directly utilized by our body to derive energy. First of all, this starch has to be broken down into simpler food substances. That is, it has to be broken down into glucose, because it is glucose that the body can utilize in order to derive energy. Similarly, the proteins that are synthesized by the plants are of no use to human beings. First of all, these proteins, which are polymers of what are called as amino acids, they are going to be broken down, and these amino acids are then going to be used in order to make the proteins of our own body. So, what happens is that suppose this is amino acid, it is going to be connected to another amino acid, then it is going to connect it to another third amino acid, and so on. And this entire chain of amino acids is what is a protein. So proteins are first broken down into their simplest units, that is amino acids, and then the amino acids are going to be utilized by our body. Similarly, we have fats, which are made up of fatty acids and glycerol. So first of all, they are going to be broken down, and first we get fatty acids and glycerol. These are going to be then utilized for deriving energy. Hence, digestion is a very essential process for heterotrophs, because what we take in our body or what we feed upon is complex food material that cannot be directly utilized by our body in order to derive energy or to make anything. First of all, that complex food material is broken down into simpler food substances, and then our body acts upon those simpler substances. Now that we know about the process of digestion, let us actually come back to the three different types of heterotrophic nutrition which are seen in organisms. The first type that we saw was Holozoic mode of nutrition. And I talked about that there are 5 steps in order to derive the nutrients which are seen in this mode of nutrition. What are the 5 steps? We are going to look at them in just a minute. But what is important to note here is that one of the steps is digestion, and that occurs inside the body of the organism. That means that in Holozoic mode of nutrition showing animals, the internal digestion of food occurs. This is a very important point. That means that the organism is taking food inside its body first by one means or the other, and then that food is going to be broken down with the help of digestive juices. This type of nutrition is going to be seen in animals, for example, human beings, cows, lions, tigers, etc., as well as in unicellular organisms, for example, amoeba and paramecium. The saprotrophic mode of nutrition, which is shown by fungi, in this particular mode of nutrition, the digestive juices are secreted outside the body. So, the digestion is completely external. That means that the organism is going to secrete the digestive juices on the food which has not been taken inside the body. The digestion or the breakdown is going to occur outside the body itself, and then the simplest food materials are going to be simply absorbed or taken in by the organism. So you know that fungi grow on dead and decaying organic matter. So if this is the dead and decaying organic matter, and this is for an example a mushroom, then this mushroom is simply going to secrete digestive juices on the dead and decaying organic matter, and then the digestion is going to take place outside the body of the mushroom. Once the food has been digested completely, the nutrients are going to be simply absorbed by the mushroom. The third mode of heterotrophic nutrition is parasitic mode of nutrition. In parasitic mode of nutrition, you have a parasite and you have a host. So the parasite is completely dependent on its host organism in order to derive its food. It lives inside or on the host organism, and whatever the mode of nutrition is of the host organism, for example, if the host organism is a plant, then it is going to show autotrophic mode of nutrition. If the host organism is, say, an animal, which shows a holozoic mode of nutrition. So the host organism is going to carry out its nutrition just the way it does, but once the digestion has actually occurred, then the parasite is going to simply take away or steal away the nutrients from the host organism. That is, it deprives the host organism of the very nutrients that the host organism has obtained by going through the complex process of nutrition. Therefore, in parasites, there is no or little digestion of food, because they don't need to digest food. They are simply absorbing digested food from their host organism. Now we can have parasitic plants, we can also have parasitic animals. So leeches and ticks and mites, they are all parasitic animals, whereas amarbel, which is also known as cuscuta, is a parasitic plant. Now that we know about the three modes of nutrition, we can actually talk about the 5 steps that are involved in the Holozoic mode of nutrition. And these steps are very easy to understand because this is what happens in us. So we are going to start off with Holozoic nutrition seen in humans. The first step that the food is exposed to or is subjected to is taking in of food in our mouth. So we take in the food in our mouth, and once it is inside our mouth, our teeth are going to help to chew the food. It is going to be mashed and grinded with the help of the teeth, and then it is going to be swallowed down our throat. This process of taking in of food in our mouth and then ultimately swallowing it down through our throat is known as digestion. And this is the first step in the Holozoic mode of nutrition. Now, once the food has been ingested, it is going to pass through a tract or a path which is also known as the alimentary canal or the digestive tract or the gut. And inside this tract, as the food passes, it is going to be exposed to different kinds of digestive juices. These digestive juices are going to break down the food into simpler components, and the digestive juices are going to be produced by the organs which are going to form forming a part of this digestive tract. Now, as the food passes down and it is digested, the tract or the wall of the tract is in contact with blood vessels. So this is like an example of a blood vessel. What happens is that once the food has been digested and now you have got to the simplest food particles, you have got to the level of nutrients, these nutrients are going to pass through the gut wall and they are going to enter into the blood vessel. That is, these nutrients are absorbed into the blood. Once these nutrients are absorbed into the blood which is flowing through our entire body, it is acting as a river of life which connects all different cells of our body. That food is going to pass through this blood and reach all the different cells of our body. So the digested food is absorbed through the gut wall and it is sent to the rest of the body via the blood. And once it has been sent to the rest of the body, or it has reached the different cells of the body, then that food is going to be utilized, and that process is known as assimilation. So the first step is ingestion, the second step is digestion, The third step is absorption of food, and the fourth step is the assimilation of food, that is its utilization by the different cells of the body. Now, there is also certain food which is not digested, and that food has to be let out of the body, because if it is allowed to deposit inside the body, then it can cause us discomfort, it can also cause us diseases. So this waste food material has to be let out of the body, and this process by which this undigested food is removed from the body, that process is known as digestion or defecation, and this is the fifth process or the fifth step of the holozoic nutrition in animals or in humans. So the first step is ingestion of food, wherein it is going to be taken in our mouth and it is going to be swallowed down our throat. The second step is digestion, wherein the food is going to pass through a digestive tract, and the members of the digestive tract are going to secrete various digestive juices which are going to help in the digestion or the breakdown of food into simpler substances. The third step is that once the simpler substances have been digested the complex substances have been digested completely in the simpler substances, then these are going to be passing through the gut wall and going to enter into the bloodstream, and from the blood they are going to reach into different body parts, and this is absorption. And after they have reached the different body parts or the different body cells, they are going to be utilized by the cells in order to derive energy or to make their own proteins or etc. purposes. That is the fourth step, and it is called as assimilation. And we also have the fifth step, which is digestion, wherein we are going to remove the undigested food material with the help of the process of defecation. Alright, now that we have seen the holozoic mode of nutrition in animals, specifically in humans, let us look at their digestive system. Let us look at the alimentary canal or the pathway which we were talking about, through which the food actually passes. So this figure is the figure which shows you the alimentary canal. Now what really happens is that this is the mouth. From the mouth it is going to enter into our throat and reach into the tube-like structure which is known as the esophagus. So the mouth is also known as the buccal cavity, and then from that the food is going to pass down into this long tube-like structure which is known as the esophagus or the food pipe, because it is the pipe through which the food passes. And then the food is going to be led into this J-shaped pouch which is known as the stomach. From the stomach, the food is going to be led into the small intestine, which is this one, and small intestine is named small because its diameter is less. However, it is very long and it is highly coiled. From the small intestine, the food passes into the large intestine, and this structure which you can see is the large intestine. The large intestine is smaller in length than the small intestine. However, it is named large intestine because its diameter is larger. So this is the large intestine and this is the small intestine, and the large intestine is named so because the diameter of this tube is greater. Then the food is actually the undigested food is going to be passed out of the body with the help of anus. Now this is the entire digestive tract. Basically, this is the entire path through which the food is going to pass. So the food is going to obviously be in direct contact with all of these organs, because it is through these organs that the food is actually going to pass. However, in our body there are certain glands and there are certain organs which are not in direct contact with the food. They are not in direct contact with the food. However, their secretions do reach the food and their secretions do help in the digestion of the food. The first is the salivary glands. The salivary glands release their secretions in the buccal cavity. So the food which is inside the buccal cavity is acted upon by the secretions of the salivary glands. However, the salivary glands are not a part of the digestive tract. Similarly, there are organs like liver and pancreas. So over here, this structure is the liver, and this long structure is the pancreas, which we are going to see in detail also. So liver and pancreas, the food never passes through them. It is not in direct contact with these two organs. However, the liver and pancreas do release their digestive juices, and those digestive juices are actually released inside the small intestine. And so small intestine receives digestive juices from the liver, from the pancreas, and also it produces its own digestive juices. Because of this, the final digestion of food actually occurs inside the small intestine, and from the small intestine the food is then absorbed into the blood, and only undigested food material or water actually passes through the large intestine. Basically, digestive system is composed of the glands as well as the alimentary canal. The alimentary canal is the tract through which the food is going to pass and is in direct contact with, and the glands are going to be the ones which are going to release their secretions inside the alimentary canal. However, the food is not going to come in direct contact with them. So this is what makes our digestive system. Now let's start off our journey of food with a look inside the buccal cavity and see what happens to the food once it is inside the buccal cavity. Now I have said that once the food is inside the buccal cavity, it is going to be chewed by the teeth, and the tongue is actually going to help in the mixing of food and lubricating it so that it is easily swallowed down our throat. And we also have seen that there are salivary glands which are going to release their secretions inside the buccal cavity, and these secretions are actually going to digest food, as we are going to see in just a minute. So let's look at the teeth first. The process of taking food inside mouth is, as we have seen already, it is called ingestion. The food is chewed and mechanically broken down into simpler pieces by the action of teeth. So if you're taking a long bite of food, then the teeth just grind it down and break it down mechanically into smaller particles, which can be easily taken through your throat, or which can be easily gulped down your throat. Teeth are actually rooted in sockets in our gums. So our gums have sockets, and teeth are actually present in these sockets. Teeth vary in appearance. So we have different type of teeth, and they are going to vary in how they look, and that different structure is an attribute of their different functions. Some teeth are going to be used to tear the flesh. Other teeth are going to be used to grind the food, and depending upon what their function is, they have different shapes which are going to facilitate their function. Now for human beings, we are diphyodont. What that means is that we get two sets of our teeth during our lifetime. We get two sets of teeth during our lifetime, and most of you, and actually all of you, must have observed this. So when a baby is about 6 months old, he or she starts to teeth, and by the time he or she is 2 years old, there is a complete set of deciduous teeth that has come inside the mouth of the baby. The deciduous teeth are also known as the primary teeth or the milk teeth, because they ultimately fall off when the child is of 6 to 8 years of age. So you get your first set of teeth when you are just a toddler or a baby, and then all of these teeth are shed when you turn 6 to 7 to 8 years age. And once these teeth are shed or they are completely broken, then they are replaced by another set of teeth, which is known as the permanent teeth or the secondary teeth, because these teeth are not replaceable. If they fall off, then they would not be replaced by another teeth or another tooth. Therefore, they are known as the permanent set of teeth. Now, there are differences in the number of teeth that come in the two sets. There are 20 teeth in the milk teeth set, whereas there can be 30 to 32 teeth in the permanent teeth step. or the permanent teeth set. Now let us have a look and let us try to see the different types of teeth based on their shape as well as on their function. So the first type of teeth are molars. And molars, as you can see, I like to start off with the incisors. So incisors are the 4 teeth that are in front of your mouth. So 1, 2, 3, 4 teeth that are in front, that is, they are the incisors. And incisors are actually used to cut and bite the food. So whenever, for example, try to visualize yourself eating a biscuit. So when you cut through a biscuit, you're actually using your incisors. Then you have the canines, and these are the canines, this and this. This and this. Canines are used to pierce and tear. So when anybody eats chicken, then these are the ones which are going to be utilized. And canines are also known as cuspids. Then you also have the premolars or bicuspids, which are these 2 teeth. So premolars or bicuspids. And they are used for chewing and grinding of food. Remember that children which have, in the milk teeth, the premolars are absent. In the milk teeth set, you do have incisors, you do have canines, but you do not have premolars. And finally, the 4th type of teeth are called as the molars, which are also used for chewing and grinding, and you get 3 pairs of molars in each jaw. The first and the second set of molar comes in all human beings. So in all adults, the first and the second set would come. But the third set, that is this last 2 teeth, they are also known as the wisdom teeth. And these teeth do not come in the case of few individuals. And even in the individuals in which they come, because there is not enough space in the jaw to accommodate them, therefore when they start to appear, it brings about a lot of pain to the person. Hence, a lot of people actually go for wisdom teeth removal. However, a lot of us only get 2 pairs of molars in our lifetime. Therefore, we have 32 teeth in our permanent teeth step. Let's do the math. So in each jaw, we are going to have 4 incisors. Then we are going to have 2 canines. We are going to have 2 pairs of premolars. That means that we have 4 premolars, and then we have 3 pairs of molars. That means that we have 6 premolars, and all of them added would give you 16 teeth. And this is in one jaw. And we have 2 jaws, the upper jaw and the lower jaw. So the total number of teeth becomes 32. In children, we do not have the third set of molars, and we also do not have the premolars. So what is the number? We have 4 incisors, we have 2 canines, and then we have 2 pairs of molars. That means that we have 4 molars. This means that in children, in each jaw, you are going to have 10 teeth. So if in one jaw there are 10 teeth, then in the other jaw also you have 10 teeth. So the total number of teeth becomes 20. And this is how we say that in the milk teeth set, we have 20 teeth, whereas in the permanent teeth set, we have 32 teeth. Now actually let's move over and talk about the salivary glands. Inside the buccal cavity, the salivary glands, and there are 3 pairs of salivary glands which are present nearby the buccal cavity. They are going to be the ones which are going to release their secretions inside the buccal cavity. So the 3 pairs of the salivary glands and their names you need not remember, but just for the reference I have shown them in the picture. So you have the parotid gland in your cheek, and that is also present on the other side, and then you have the submandibular gland which is present below your lower jaw, and then you also have the sublingual gland which is present below your tongue. So these 3 glands, they are going to be present in pairs. they're going to secrete their juices inside the buccal cavity, and their juices actually contain a special enzyme. First of all, the salivary glands, the secretion of the salivary glands is known as saliva. And saliva, if you know, is the whitish material that is present in your mouth, and that saliva is actually used to wet your food, and it helps in the lubrication and mastication of the food in order for it to be properly swallowed down. However, the saliva also contains a special enzyme, or that is a biological catalyst, which is known as the salivary amylase. And what does salivary amylase do? This salivary amylase is going to break down starch into a simpler carbohydrate, which is known as maltose. So maltose is simpler than starch, but it is more complex than glucose. So inside the mouth, the digestion of carbohydrates begins. However, the digestion of carbohydrates is only partial. The carbohydrates are broken down. For example, if starch was this long chain, then it is broken down. However, it is not broken down completely. We need to get to these individual units, and this individual unit, they have not been achieved yet. So the digestion has started. Starch has been broken down into maltose, which is a simpler carbohydrate. However, the digestion is not complete yet, and this is facilitated by the function of an enzyme called as the salivary amylase, which is present in our saliva. Then let's also have a look at what the tongue does. So tongue is a muscular organ, and what it does is that it helps in the mastication of food. It helps the food to be mixed with the saliva and helps in the swallowing of food. It also helps us to talk, and it has got a lot of taste buds which can detect different tastes. For example, we are able to detect whether food is bitter, sour, sweet, because of the taste buds which are present on our tongue, and they are also localized in different areas of the tongue. For example, the taste buds which sense bitter flavor, they are actually present at the back of the tongue. The ones which are sensing sour, salt or sweet are respectively present at these locations. And this is how tongue is going to help in our process of nutrition. Now over here I would also like you to be recall the concept of tooth decay, which you must have studied in your previous classes. So what happens if we eat a lot of sugary substances and not brush our teeth properly? This leads to the growth of bacteria in our mouth, and as the bacteria break down and utilize the sugary substances for their own nutrition, they are going to produce acids, and acids are going to break down our teeth, and they are going to degrade our teeth and erode the enamel, which is going to lead into tooth decay and cavities, and this is characterized by extreme pain and even sometimes loss of teeth. So therefore it is advised that we should not eat a lot of sugary substances, and even if we eat them, we should properly take care of our teeth by brushing them twice a day. Now we have the journey completed in the mouth, but now we have a long way to go. The food is now going to pass into the esophagus and stomach and small intestine, large intestine, and this part would be covered in the next video. So please stay tuned for that. This is it for this particular video. Thank you for watching.